All right, guys, I just want to welcome back to the Everything College Football podcast. Today, me and Nick are looking at the Independence Bowl on Saturday, December 16th, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Red Raiders are 3-point favorites, live from Shreveport, Louisiana. Looking at the offenses for the Golden Bears this season, for many years under Justin Wilcox, we've been waiting for this offense to show any type of progression, and they finally did it this season, led by quarterback Fernando Mendoza, freshman. 1,447 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions in his 8 starts. He was really able to elevate this passing attack a little bit. But more importantly, the running game led by Jaden Ott. This is a player I think you got to monitor when it comes to the transfer portal. Looks like right now he's going to be staying put, but I certainly think there's going to be a lot of people advocating for him. 1,260 yards rushing, 11 touchdowns, 5.5 yards per carry. Also has 141, another 2 scores through the air. Jaden Ott is going to be the best player on this field on that Saturday night. Nick, what do you make of this Cal offense? It's a young unit, but Mendoza's been really good when they were struggling at quarterback. And again, that player in Ott is just terrific.
This is an offense that has improved under Wilcox, which is kind of shocking. The defense kind of regressed for Justin Wilcox. The offense has gotten a lot better. 4.67 yards per attempt on the ground, 31.6 points per game, 5.48 yards per play for this offense. Good numbers out of this unit. Mendoza has been solid at quarterback, 62% comp rate, 1,400 yards passing, 13 touchdowns, 7 picks. The 1,260 on the ground is an impressive number, 5.5 yards per carry, 11 scores. He also has 21 receptions for 141 yards and 2 scores. So he's a true dual threat capability there with the 21 receptions. So this guy can do it all. Ott is a really good game-changing player. They have some other players down in the backfield that's kind of, taken a couple turns as running backs, kind of rotating guys in and out. But it's really been the Jaden Ott show who has taken over for this offense. They have some talented players at wide receiver for Mendoza to throw to, but no one that really jumps crazy off the page. This offense relies on Ott. He's a huge part of this offense. And, when you have a back like that who can score on the ground and really can pick up yards in good chunks, 5.5 per carry is a really solid number. It's great to have a back like that. Jaden Ott's been an absolute revelation for this offense. If he sticks around and plays next year, Cal's offense will be just as good, if not better.
Yeah, the receiving group got 4 players over 30 receptions, led by Jeremiah Hunter, 58 grabs for 669 and 7 touchdowns. Leads the team in all those categories. Tron Grizzle, a pleasant surprise as a sophomore, 35 for 510. And he found the end zone 5 times. And Tajay Davis, nice speedy weapon. He's got 400 yards this season. Jack Andrews, a tight end. They use a handful of tight ends in this offense. Certainly allows them to run the ball well. This offensive line isn't all that polished. They certainly have been a below average unit. The tackle spots aren't that great. I think Brian Driscoll at center, he's a good player for them. Other than that, kind of an average unit. Looking at the Texas Tech offense, this is a unit I thought under Zach Kittley this year would really bloom. From 34 points down to 27 per game this season. It's due to the quarterback position. Baron Morton, he's showcased some good games at times, coming off 88 yards and 3 picks against Texas, though. They're coming off 3 straight games in a row where they had 25 points or less. They're able to win 3 in a row before that Texas game to end the year, so they were able to rip some things off. This offense this year has been really disappointing. It's because of this passing attack that should certainly be producing at a much higher rate and being more efficient. Only 60% comp rate, 17 interceptions and 21 touchdowns as a team. So quarterback has been a big problem for them. They do have nice pass catchers though. Jerron Bradley, Xavier White, Miles Price. These are all good pass catchers for them. Coy Eakin, freshman, has really stepped up this season. So they have a handful of different guys they throw it to, but this passing attack this year has been really, really poor, I would say, for the expectation we thought they would have. Long term, I think they'll be all right, but at least for this game, it's not something really banking on being big.
It certainly is concerning. This team has struggled throughout the season to throw the ball. It's been a who's who, of issues for this team. They have 3 quarterbacks they've played. Tyler Sow, who ended up transferring to Louisville. Brennan Morton has taken over. Jake Strong, the true freshman, has gotten a few reps here and there. Morton, the guy that's taken over here, 1,500 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, 7 picks. Like you said, 3 picks in the Texas game, 62% comp rate. Just not great numbers. Xavier White is a good player, but just there is lack of production at touchdowns. He has only 1 touchdown grab on 34 grabs, 495, 14.6. Jordan Bradley, 36 grabs, 431, 12 per attempt, and 4 scores for him. Miles Price, 410, 9.5, and 5 touchdowns for him. So there seems to be a lack of production. The 12 passing touchdowns And as a total, this team only has 21 passing touchdowns and 17 interceptions, 26.8 points per game, 4.55 yards per attempt on the ground, which is a solid number, but 5.38 total yards per play is not a great number. The running back room is going to have to carry the load for this Texas Tech team as they really struggle to throw the ball at all this season.
Good news for them is they have a bell cow back of their own at Taj Brooks. All signs, point to him playing in this game. 1,443 yards, 9 touchdowns this season. He's been phenomenal for them. The offensive line, they're going to be out without left tackle Monroe Mills. He's entered the portal. He's going to get some big-time money from someone. Good news is for them, they do have left guard Jacoby Jackson, who's been really sound in pass protection, and that right tackle Caleb Rogers as well. The pass protection has been, a little bit below average as well, but they do have some standouts. Without that bookend at left tackle, it could be a little bit harder in all facets for him, Nick. Overall, what do you expect from this Tech offense? Again, Brooks should be playing in this game. If they don't, it's going to be really hard to probably score points in this one.
If they don't have Brooks, they're in a whole lot of trouble. Brooks has really been this entire offense this year, nearly 1,450 yards on the ground, 5.4 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns, 24 receptions out of the backfield as well. Similar story to what we said about Jaden Ott, right? This is a back that can do it all. When you get to that over 5 yards per carry number, that's a really impressive stat. They're both roughly around 5.5 yards per carry. Really good numbers. The less touchdowns for Brooks than Ott, so that's certainly a little concerning if you're a Texas Tech fan. Brooks is going to have to carry the load in this bowl game. This offensive line has been kind of shaky. They're going to have to play a really strong game and be physical against this Cal defense that's shown some weakness this year.
Looking at the defenses, Cal, I figured they'd be able to take some steps forward this year on this side of the ball because it's Justin Wilcox's specialty, and they really just got worse. They gave up 50 to SC, 63 to Oregon, 59 to Washington. Oregon State had 50 plus. They've gotten absolutely throttled by some tougher opponents in conference. 3,390 passing yards allowed. It's 282 per contest, 27 touchdowns, 11 picks they've been able to snag. This has just been a tough area for them. There's certainly some receivers that can exploit that, so I certainly think that the QB play it's going to be a little amplified in this game, at least from a number standpoint. I think they'll be able to spark some big plays. You're going to need your edge rushers to step up. David Reese, Xavier Carlton, Cade Ulavi. These guys are solid. This is a team that only has 49 tackles for loss, 23 sacks, well below average numbers. With that void now left tackle, I think that's something they can certainly exploit. David Reese has been a good player. Jackson Sermon going down first half of the season was tough for them, but they've certainly had other guys able to step up. Caleb Elams or at linebacker with his 92 tackles. The run defense hasn't been all that bad this year. They've been flamed through the secondary. They had to give up 300 plus to Utah. Oregon State had 200 plus, but for the most part held up well there. This hasn't exactly been a horrible weakness for them. They've given up 22 scores on the ground, 3.8 yards per carry, but they're showing some life here on this side of the ball, Nick. If they can slow down Taj Brooks in this running game, it would certainly go, one step further in allowing them to win this contest, even though that area in the secondary is still going to be pretty vulnerable.
This defense has struggled this year, 32.7 points per game given up. They've not been bad against the run, 3.84 yards per attempt on the ground. It's really been the passing attack that's really torched this team throughout this year. They gave up 52 to Oregon State, gave up 50 to USC, 63 to Oregon, 59 to Washington. Just a lot of high numbers there. I do like some of this pass rushing ability they have. There are some solid pieces in this linebacking core as well. Caleb Arnis-Orr, 92 total tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups. Good numbers from him. I like what I've seen in that front. Cade Ulave, 58 total tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 2 picks, 3 pass breakups. Xavier Carlton, 46 total tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. David Reese, 31 total tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, and sacks for him. Solid production out of him. Miles Jarning, 20 total tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack for him. So there are some nice production, but overall they need to be able to exploit that weakness on the offensive line for the Red Raiders. If they can do that and get pressure on the quarterback and make him make mistakes, this defense can certainly succeed in this game.
Looks like Elam Zor is actually in the transfer portal along with starting corner Jeremiah Irby, so they're going to be down some nice players there. Craig Woodson, Patrick McMorris still in the secondary. Certainly, Noah Williams as well. Capable players that can make some plays for them. But overall, this is a defense probably going to struggle. You look at Texas Tech, they're certainly marched forward, under Joey McGuire on the defensive side of the ball. But they're certainly wanting to continue to get better. 27 points per game allowed this season. Absolutely got dominated by Texas. The week before against UCF, they certainly were harmed with their balance. The run defense the last 3 games, 200 plus allowed in all of them. They've only did that 4 times this year, so it certainly has been a big problem for them. Certainly want to monitor the status of Jalen Hutchings, who didn't play against Texas. Tony Bradford, though, was really good. Miles Cole, his outside linebacking position, There's some guys that have certainly stepped up this season for them, including freshman Ben Roberts at the linebacker spot with 100 tackles. This is a defense I thought would probably be around this area, and I wouldn't say they're disappointed by any means. But again, the top parts of their team, though, is going to be Hutchings and Bradford, so you want to monitor the status of them for this game. If they don't play, if those tackles don't play, they'll be in a lot of trouble. And even if they do, I think they're probably going to be still pretty vulnerable to Jade Knott in this game. What do you make of the Texas Tech defense, Nick? The last 3 weeks, last 3 games, that is, haven't exactly been great, but they've been able to hold their opponents to, minus Texas, 13-23, and Kansas and UCF, and get victories in those contests.
27 points per game given up, 4.49 yards per attempt on the ground. That's a pretty tough number to look at. Not a great thing when you're going against a talented back like this Cal offense has. Miles Cole, if he plays, he's a really good record to have there. 32 total tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks for him. I really do like the numbers I see out of him. He's a very talented piece for this defense. There are some other talented players. At linebacker, Ben Roberts is a great player, redshirt freshman, 100 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and a pick for him. He's a big physical guy that gets in the backfield and gets the job done. I like what I've seen out of him so far this year. Obviously, Hutchins, like you said, if he's going to play, that could be huge for this team. 44 total tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. Tony Bradford Jr. is another guy who's a big physical player on that defensive tackle position. 40 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks for him. If they can get their guys at full potential, they can have some success here, but they've struggled against the run at times. And when you have a guy like Ott in the backfield for Cal, that could be definitely a bad matchmaking for them.
The secondary's been pretty good this year. They haven't been bad by any means. 228 yards per game allowed, only allowed 15 touchdowns with 10 picks, and under 60% comp rate. And they have some great safeties: Deirdre Tyler, Demerson, and CJ Baskerville. These guys have been phenomenal, versatile weapons. They can play in the slot and as safety, and in all facets, they've really been strong. Malik Dunlap, Braylon Luck, some nice corners there. So the secondary is pretty solid, and I think they are going to be looking forward to competing against some nice receivers from the Golden Bears. Overall, who do you think has the edge on this side of the ball, Nick? Where it seems like we're still going to see a lot of points scored, but the Red Raiders have got to be happy with some of the areas on this defense.
I think the Red Raiders do have an impressive defensive unit here, but we worry about some other positions. Cal losing some of their talented players to the portal is certainly hurting them. I think it's about even on defense. I do think this is a close matchup. These two defenses are solid defenses. They're nothing crazy, but they're nothing terrible either. There's definitely a lot worse defenses in college football than these two units. It's kind of an even matchup on paper, in my opinion.
Looking at the final thoughts and the prediction for Cal, you want to feed Jade Knott in this game. You don't want to get completely flamed in the secondary like they have against, like Washington and Oregon. USC, I don't think that's going to be happening in this game. Texas Tech is capable of that with their pass catchers and with the, air raid system they run. But the QB play just needs to generate a better rhythm, and I don't expect them to do so. And they need to slow down the run at a pretty good tune. And, I think they're certainly going to allow some yards. I think they're going to see some points in this one. But considering how the Red Raiders have played against the run the last couple of games, I don't think it's going to be really the same as what they did in the early part of the year. And I think Cal's going to be able to have some nice balance in this game. They've really established a good passer in Fernando Mendoza, while for the Red Raiders, it's just kind of a mess at the quarterback position. So I'm going to take Cal to win this game as the underdogs, 34-28. You'll probably see a little bit more scoring than that. I see you're going with a lower scoring game, Nick, which I think is also pretty possible considering both these teams are kind of a mess. And with it being bowl season, the defenses might just show up for completely no reason at all.
Yeah, I look at the last couple games for Texas Tech. They 24-23 game against UCF, 16-13 game against Kansas. I kind of think that's something that we've been heading here since it's bowl season. You never really know what to expect. I think Cal's the better team here. I think Cal has an opportunity to win this game. Justin Wilcox, his seat was pretty hot at the start of the season. A lot of people thought that this would be his last ride up there in Northern California. But as 6-6 campaign and qualifying for a bowl, I think Wilcox's seat cools off. He will return next year, so might as well get another bowl win just to kind of cap off the season, and they transition to entering a new conference, entering the ACC next year. Texas Tech, they'd like to win this game as well, but I think they don't have as much to play for here. I think Cal's got a little bit more to play for, a bigger point to prove, and I like this team as the underdog here in this bowl game.
That's going to be for today's episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.